The one thing I want you to take away from this video is at any moment we can change the way we view ourselves. We can alter our thoughts and we can create long-lasting change. Remember, if you have a brain, you can change. The way we view ourselves, that comes from our environment, our friends, our family, our neighborhood, all those things. We pick up on stuff from just simply watching, not because someone sat us down and taught us these things. This is what's called observational knowledge. It's kind of like, you know how to get around your neighborhood. No one taught you how to do that. You just know. But here's the catch. When you're growing up and you're watching your folks around you, your friends, your family, your parents, tearing themselves down, being very hard on themselves, you start to do the exact same things without even knowing it. Maybe your mom or your dad, they kept pushing this narrative about who you're supposed to be. You know, with that kind of thinking, it just keeps you inside this box. Like, you just get trapped inside this little narrative that they wrote for you. Next thing you know, you're grown up, you're still stuck inside this box, afraid to get out of it. It's kind of like the world already wrote your script for you and you're just playing your role. See, as human beings, we have this thing called negativity bias. Basically, what that means is the negative stuff, when it affects us, it outweighs all the good stuff. For example, if someone broke up with me, I would feel that weight of the breakup so much more than if I was to get a promotion at work. You know, a year from now, 6 months from now, I'll still be talking about that breakup, but that promotion that changed my life financially, I forgot about it. That's what's called negativity bias. So you start telling yourself these negative stories, these messed up stories like, man, ain't nobody gonna love me, I'm not good enough. It could be about your looks, your body, whatever the case may be. You just feed into that negativity, that negative self-talk, and you just feed into it over and over and over again. And then boom, on top of that, you have this thing called confirmation bias. That's your brain out here in the world looking for that negativity to prove that what you're thinking is actually correct. So your brain is actually on the hunt. The confirmation bias is a very unique thing. It's kind of like a car. When you notice one car, the car you're thinking about buying, you start seeing that car everywhere on the road. But before that, you actually weren't even thinking about that car. But suddenly, because now you're thinking about buying it, it's in your brain, now you start to see it everywhere in the world. That's confirmation bias. So when it comes to negative self-talk, when you start thinking like that, your brain automatically starts looking for all the negative things to believe and show proof that, hey, that negative stuff you're saying about yourself is actually true. So now you're just stuck in this perpetual cycle of repeating the same lies that you're thinking and telling yourself, and now your brain is actually out there looking for proof, and it's just this endless cycle over and over and over. We have this negative self-talk, this narrative, right? And then you have this negativity bias, and then you have this confirmation bias, and then it just repeats itself over and over and over. And that's how we get stuck. And here's the crazy part. If you don't check yourself, it just becomes your whole lens and how you see the world. And the worst part about it is when you start to see life like this, it carries over in all aspects of your life. Relationship, your health, your romantic relationships, your platonic ones, everything. Because now this world that you're seeing, it starts to become facts. And your mind just thinks, hey, this is how it's supposed to be. Because everything that I'm proving to myself has been checked off as true. You know, when it comes to our thoughts, it's really powerful. It's so strong. It shapes the way we see the world and how we see ourselves and how we see others. But here's the kicker. We hold that strength in our hands. We control that narrative. And we can change that narrative. We can change these thoughts. We can start telling ourselves a different narrative and remind us of who we really are. Strong, powerful, and that we're built for more. Here's the thing, it's about shifting the mindset, standing in that truth, walking with a silent confidence of saying, you know what? I know my worth and I'm ready for what's next. And here's the next part. This next part is very, very important. You know, there's this saying that says, it goes something like this: stack your daily wins. When you start recognizing these small daily wins that you have in your life, it opens up a new path for you. You start to go down this different road that you're so used to. And it's one that's different from the old path that you're so used to, the one that you've been telling yourself, the one that you've been confirming, and that vicious cycle that you've been going through. But you got to remember, this change doesn't happen unless you bring awareness to it. Your brain, you got to remember, your brain is running on autopilot, man. it's only doing what it's so familiar with, what it's so comfortable with on a day-to-day basis. So if you've been kind of cruising down this smooth path of life and you're kind of just stuck in this narrative and you're ready for change, you got to be ready to jump on this bumpy road, man. It's not going to be perfect at first. You got to start paving it, making it smooth, right? You got to start building up street lights to it. And then over time, that dirt bumpy road starts to become a highway of its own. You got to remember this. When we break old habits, we take control of our new path. We shift our thinking from this is how it's always been to now it's time to rewrite the script. Then that's when you start shifting that narrative that you've been telling yourself. That's when you start rewriting your narrative and start shifting your own thoughts. So the one thing I want you to do today is when you wake up and you go about your day, before your day is over, I want you to think about all the little wins. All right, that's the one thing I want you to do today is think about your wins. And there's a lot of wins in a mundane life, but most people don't think about it. It could be you going to the gym, you waking up early on time, you taking your kids to school, tucking them in, making dinner for the family. Those wins are things that we need to focus on to start changing the narratives that we have in our thoughts. You know, people ask me all the time, can I really change? Hell yes, you can change. You don't have to get stuck in these old stories, bro. You have the power to break free and change your own narrative and start creating a new path for yourself.